Mario Kart is loved by many, and there's one map that everyone knows about, the infamous Rainbow Road. Many have a hatred towards it, and today we're going to see how this course changed in terms of looks, game design and layout throughout the years. The original Rainbow Road debuted in Super Mario Kart as the last course of the Special Cup, starting the Mario Kart series tradition of having Rainbow Road as the last course of the final cup. This track is quite straightforward in terms of layout. It was made for the SNES after all. This console wasn't that powerful. However, there are a couple of things that make this track special and more difficult. It uses only 90-degree turns and there are no side rails. So there is little room for error. If you go a hair too far, then you can easily fall off the edge, and that's a huge setback. This is the one thing that makes this track a real pain to deal with. One mistake, and you're set back 3 to 4 places. Now besides this, the Rainbow Road colored tiles and a few jumping bumps cover the track surface, and the yellow tiles conceal coins. This course also features super thwomps, which can wipe out a racer by touch, unlike regular thwomps, as well as by crushing, unless you obtain a star or a boo. Overall, they made this track one of the hardest in the game. It's unforgiving, but still, it's quite basic, and this is because of the technology they had. When you look at the game, you can clearly see that it wasn't really 3D, but actually a graphics mode called Mode 7. This allows a background layer to be rotated and scaled on a scale line by scale line basis to create many different effects. The most famous of these effects is the application of a respective effect on the background layer by scaling and rotating the background layer in this manner. This transforms the background layer into a two-dimensional horizontal textured map plane that trades height for depth. Thus, the impression of three-dimensional graphics is achieved. This was the biggest limiting factor for the Mario Kart tracks, including Rainbow Road. But this would all change in the upcoming games, since those featured real 3D graphics. The first Mario Kart game that had this was Mario Kart 64 for the Nintendo 64, and here, Rainbow Road is very different. In the previous game, the level was completely flat. There were no height differences. But in this game, there are all kinds of spirals, and the course goes up and down a lot. This makes it very dynamic and interesting, and it also improved a ton in terms of visuals. There are even neon signs of characters throughout the track. This is great, but it also lost some good elements that it had. There are rails on the sides of the track, which make it way easier since you can't fall off anymore. Now why they did this is unknown. It could be that the track was way too difficult for the players in the previous games, and so they added this feature to make it easier. Another thing that changed is its length. The course is extremely long now. The manual of the game describes it in one word: long. Very long. It is simply the longest of all the courses. There's also a new threat, a chain chomp that makes its way through the course, going in the opposite direction. This is not a huge deal since you can't dodge it quite easily. Essentially, this track went from one of the hardest to one of the easiest, which I don't really like. The difficulty was a fun thing, and you can even do a shortcut at the beginning where you go off the side. This was probably not meant to be done, but people still found a way of doing it. Now the game that came after this one is called Mario Kart Super Circuit, and here they use Mode 7 again to create a 3D looking world. This track has no rails on the side, features a ton of jumps, and even some shortcuts. This map looks more like the one from Super Mario Kart than the one seen in the N64 game. It's also the most difficult one so far, which is great, but besides that, there isn't anything special about it. On to the next version seen in Mario Kart Double Dash for the Gamecube. This track is more like the one seen in N64, however this time, it has a bit of a theme. There are all kinds of boosters, ramps and transporters throughout the level, making it quite fast-paced and energetic. Besides that, there aren't as much rails as in the N64 version, which increases the difficulty, especially with all the boosters in the level. All the enemies are also gone, so no more thwomps or chain chomps. Now instead of neon signs, we see all kinds of Mario-related items, like Koopa shells, floating in the air, which is also cool. So the entire theme of the track became speed and performing difficult turns in order to not fall off, which was a great idea of Nintendo. since it makes this map a lot of fun, but also really difficult. And you can even choose to make it more difficult by trying to get all the boosters, since this added speed makes the turns even harder. Overall, this is the best possible thing they could have done with this map. And this idea didn't go anywhere. In the next game, Mario Kart Wii and DS, not a lot changed, and they once again put a ton of twists, turns, boosters, jumps, and more in the track. They found a formula for this track that worked really well. Thanks to this, the map became quite famous. It's familiar to the Mario Kart fans, and a lot of them like it for its fast pacing and difficult parts, and others hate it because of that. But from this point on, the map didn't change a whole lot. They just followed this formula since it worked really well. This also goes for Mario Kart 8. However, it doesn't end here, since this famous Mario Kart track was also seen in some other games like Super Mario Galaxy 2. It appears in the Rolling Coaster Galaxy in the mission called the Rainbow Road Roll, and also a purple coin challenge, but it is very different than in its previous appearances. It has rainbow tiles for a part of it, and it's still quite fast-paced. But there's only so much they can do, since Mario rides on a ball that you control with motion. So it's samey fast-paced, and overall just a fun cameo of the one seen in the Mario Kart series. We also saw it as a stage in Super Smash Bros. 3DS. Yet again, mostly a cameo. And this is where it kind of ends. This track is loved and also hated by many. It started out as a track with enemies and harsh turns, and even became slow, long, and boring at some point. But in the most recent games, it's a fast-paced and difficult track, and we will just have to wait and see what happens to it in the future. Hey there, be sure to check out my Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord server. We do all kinds of fun stuff there, so go check it out! Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to watch more videos, click the annotations on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe. And I want to end this video by saying that your hair looks beautiful today.